Hi, welcome to Minute with Mickey. A time for us to wonder about the story, the sin of Jeroboam. We find this story in 1 Kings chapters 12 and 13. We notice that this period of time when Israel has separated themselves from the kingdom of Judah, so there's now two kingdoms. I had a couple of questions about this story. One was, why is it that no one thought it was funny that Jeroboam decided that a couple of golden calves would be considered gods? Didn't they remember their own history from their years of wandering in the desert? When Aaron built a calf and said, "This is your new God," and how God had destroyed the people that worshiped that calf? Why is it that no one stepped forward and said to Jeroboam, "What? A golden calf? Are you crazy?" And then I thought maybe it's because they've stopped telling their stories to each other. Maybe during this time of wonderful wealth and prosperity, the 40 years that Solomon was reigning, maybe they stopped telling the stories. And maybe the travel to Jerusalem to go through these ritualistic practices, even the practice of Passover, they forgot to tell the real stories. Maybe it was just religious practices, and that's why it was easy for people to forget. I don't know if that's true or not, but it made me wonder. Because the minute I read this story, I said to myself, oh, that's funny, a golden calf? Surely they can't be serious. But if they didn't remember their story, if they didn't know their tradition, if they didn't know their history of what God had done in the past about that kind of blasphemy, then maybe no one would stand up to Jeroboam. And then I wondered about why it is that we see Jeroboam is deciding that he can make anybody he wants to a priest. Anybody want to be a priest? Be a priest. And the people of Levi apparently were not attached to the nation of Israel, but had stayed down in Jerusalem with Judah. And so the Levi tribe was not up with Israel. And then I wondered, wow, what does that say about this willy-nilly, anybody should just be able to be a priest? It didn't seem to turn out very well for the nation of Israel to have that be the case. And then I noticed that we have when Jeroboam took this altar and this golden calf up to Dan, that he was confronted by this prophet who was unnamed. Now, if you want to do a little digging, you might go into 2 Chronicles chapter 9 and verse 29 and see that there's some prophets there named, and one of them is attached to Jeroboam. Take a look at that and see if that might be something worth looking into. Maybe we do have a name for this particular prophet. But Jeroboam, in his own idolatry even of himself, he gets nailed by God and yet begs God for forgiveness. The prophet actually heals his hand again, and then Jeroboam continues to go ahead and do what he knows is wrong. Why is this story in the Bible? Obviously, God wants it there because there's something significant for us to learn. And I'm wondering if the significance of this is that we need to remember that we need to keep telling the stories of God, telling the stories of our history, so that we are not doomed to continue to make the same repeated mistakes over and over and over again. And the other thing is, how many times have we seen God's hand heal us or do a miracle for us because we've begged him, and the minute that miracle is over, we go back to our own devices? This is our story too. What is it that's God saying to you in it? Have a great week.